Hey everybody, it's Abracadabra here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the new weapon mastery that's coming up here soon. If you haven't been on the test server yet, or you haven't had a chance to read about it, I just wanted to kind of show you what all the hubbub's about, because things are going to change a little bit as far as we know them in the way that DCUO plays. I'm actually kind of liking it. Some people don't like it, think it slows the combat down a little bit, but I think it's actually kind of cool, and you'll definitely get to kind of see some neat things with it. So what is weapon mastery? Well, weapon mastery is basically their new skill point concept, and basically the idea here is that you're going to have a lot of skill points, and you can kind of use them now to master different weapons in the skill points tree, and also kind of get different combos out of them, and also some different buffs and things like that. So let's kind of talk about what is happening now and what the skill point trees kind of look like here. Now, I'm not going to go down every weapon, and I'm not going to show you every combo, and we're not going to talk about damage numbers and things like that. I just want to give you kind of a rough draft here of what you're going to be seeing when this weapon mastery comes. So I've decided to be a master of the staff here, so I'm going to go ahead and just show you my staff tree. And as you can see here, we have our skill points like we are normally used to seeing here. You'll notice there's one in the upper right hand corner there now. We'll talk about that in a second. But as you can see, things are pretty much the same. We have our different moves. They give us slightly buffed innates there. Then we get to our first tier, and we have the innates here as well. Well, these innates have changed a little bit, and what they're trying to do is make these a little bit more percentage based as far as critical chance or critical damage, or healing chance, or even Dom. And as you can see here with the Dom, it says power heal critical chance is permanently increased by 1. So they're trying to give the trollers a little love. So they kind of changed the way a lot of these first line stats work. They're a bit different than they used to be. Now, you remember not too long ago they introduced the second tier here, which was kind of just a way for us to dump skill points, but also kind of get a slight little bonus from it. You remember that the actual innates, the actual stats, were not very high compared to the first tier, but it's a little bit different now because these tiers don't really offer the same stats that they did before. You're going to find that weapons that used to offer like might, 20 plus might for a point, they don't do that anymore. They offer critical heal or critical damage chance or critical damage magnitude. So those are things that are not quite the same. So that's going to be a big difference there. But down here you are going to use these, second tiers a little bit as well. Now you'll notice that I've got actually 2 of these second tiers filled in here. So basically you can see that I'm actually using quite a few skill points. And the reason I'm doing this is because in order to become a quote-unquote master of a weapon, you have to have 20 skill points buried in it. So you can see here I've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So these would be the ones that I would have put in here to actually obtain the weapon mastery. Once you obtain the weapon mastery, then this one in the upper right hand corner becomes available here. And as you can see here, it says staff mastery requires 20 points in staff, requires martial flowers, requires focus spin. Staff mastery allows cross-weapon combos into select one-handed and rifle attacks. It causes required attacks to hit for increased damage, and it permanently increases critical strike damage and resistance to control effects while using the staff. And that's pretty much the same for all the weapons. As far as I can tell, I don't think that changes at all. So basically the idea there is that we have some different things that we can do now to kind of take advantage of the skill points and the stats there. Now, once you do the weapon mastery, then there's actually 2 more tiers that have been added to our skill points tree. So the third tier here, I guess, if you would, if this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this actually has the combos for weapon mastery. So you can see here there's one-handed combos, which I haven't put any skill points into. And then over here I've got my combos for rifle, which I have put some skill points into. I'm mainly a range guy, so I like my range attacks, and that's what these are kind of giving me there. Now what'll happen is when you do use the combos here, in order to get them, you actually have to be a master of the weapon that you're comboing into as well. So In this case, I'm not only a master of staff, but I'm also a master of rifle because I have to have weapon mastery for rifle in order to use that as well. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic in the sense that there's a lot of skill points that are going to be spent if you want to become a weapon master. Now, that's not a requirement. You can still pretty much play the game the same way you always have. There won't be much difference there. But if you can use weapon mastery and you do have the skill points to do it, it probably could benefit you in quite a few ways depending on your power set. We won't get into all that, but certainly some powers may benefit more than others based on how this works. And we'll talk about that part in a minute. Alright, and then down at the bottom here we have a new set of innates, and I think these are kind of replacing the innates that used to be in the first tier. So basically they know that not everybody's probably going to have enough skill points to fill in like every weapon for weapon mastery, because it'd be way too many. I don't even think there's enough skill points you can earn in the game to do that. But as you can see here, these innates are pretty powerful. So this one is like 25 might, 25 precision. This one's 25 power and 8 vit. This one's 50 health and 7 dom per point, and then 30 resto per point. So these are pretty large, but I think this is also going to make up for the fact that we don't have the innates like we used to in that first tier. Alright, now like I said, in order for me to use these rifle combos, however, though, I do need to be a master of rifle as well. So real quick, I'm just going to hop down to rifle here, and as you can see, I've got my moves set up for rifle. I'm kind of tiered the same way. I didn't put any combos in here because I'm not really going to use the rifle as my main weapon, but I am kind of using it as a combo weapon for my staff. So I did fill these all in here. That allowed me to get the weapon mastery in the upper right hand corner here, and then I could get the bottom innates because that's really important for the statistics that you want to build up there. Alright, so the skill trees are obviously a lot different now. You'll need to probably analyze them quite a bit. They've even changed some of the innates coming down the middle of the tree here, where we used to kind of just do the 4 and get the innates down here. So keep that in mind too. You might want to study the weapon, see what the innates down the middle are, because they might be different than what they used to be. Alright, so once you get all your skill points slotted and you become a master of the weapons that you want to become a master of, now actually comes the combo. Now each obviously weapon has a different combo, and there's different button presses that will make that happen. In this case I'm going to demonstrate the staff range mortar combo, and typically what you would have is you'd have, of course, your range attack for staff, which is just kind of this ball of energy that shoots out. You can't see it really, but there it is. Alright, so basically you'd see that ball of energy, kind of go out there. Now one nice thing, of course, that we've seen previously in the last game update was that they kind of made the weapons all fast now. So like you can see staff here used to have to twirl the thing forever, but it now kind of lets you fire off there. Well, instead of just doing this attack, and I accidentally did it a second ago here, you can now combo this into your weapon mastery combo. So as you can see here, there's the range attack for staff, and then boom, that goes right into rifle. So staff, and then boom, right into rifle. And you see he actually pulls out a rifle out of somewhere in his utility belt or whatever, and unleashes that. So that's the idea, is that you can kind of combining two weapons together now. Now what that basically does, of course, is gives us some pretty good damage. As you can see, it's hitting pretty hard there. Now mind you, I'm in the full new gear and have all the new mods on and stuff like that. But the idea there is that that combo is pretty powerful. Alright, now here's the thing too. I could clip this combo, and that doesn't really do much for me other than just kind of get me out of there faster. So like if I don't let the whole thing play out, I don't really get the advantage of that mortar. So the idea with weapon mastery is kind of to take away from having to clip. If you've never heard of clipping, it's basically kind of shortening an animation so that way you don't have to finish it, but you still get the damage. So they're trying to change a lot of that. They've updated some animation times. They've gotten rid of something called jump canceling, which basically allows you to cancel a channeling power in the middle by just jumping up in the air. You can still cancel it, but you just don't get the credit for the damage that you used to. You can read more about that in the article that I put up on the website, and also on the forums in DCUO. Alright, but here's the whole point. So basically, you do your mastery combo, and you'll see down at the bottom there when I do this that there's actually like a charge bar. Okay, so you'll see it charges and then it charges. All right, so on the second charge there, what we want to do is we actually want to throw a power as it's kind of reaching the end of the charge bar. It's a little bit of a timing issue, so you have to kind of get used to it. But the idea here is that when you throw a power, you're going to get a major buff. Now I'm just going to come back into the skill tree here for a second and just point something out. If you look here at my weapon mastery combo, okay, I'm going to be talking about mortar mastery here. Oops, sorry. Okay, use rifle to perform a high damage version of mortar. Using a superpower at the moment mortar impacts will increase the superpower's chance to crit by 360% and its critical damage significantly. So basically what that means is that if we time it right, we're going to be able to get off a power, and then that power has a 360% chance to crit, and of course, like it says there, it's going to do more damage than it normally would. It also has some benefits for the support roles as well. I guess they're trying to figure out the best way to handle this. Right now, for better or for worse, what's happening is if you do a support role power as part of the combo, that power just uses less power. So, it doesn't drain the trollers as much, and you kind of get that benefit from it. But, this is definitely a damage type scenario where they're going to benefit the most. So DPSs will probably benefit the most from this. But that's not to say that, healers and tanks and trollers can't take advantage of this too. It does do some increased damage, so of course that's always welcome. And of course also too, using less power is always welcome if you have the opportunity. So you'll just need to kind of figure that out on your roll there. Alright, so I just wanted to talk about that because this is basically where the benefit comes in. You get one of those buffs, if you will, when you perform the weapon mastery combo. So here we go. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to actually get the combo off here. So there's the thing, and then you see that white and red circle that showed up around me right there? That means that I got the combo off. Okay, so basically that's telling me, hey, you did it right. You got the combo off. You have your 360% chance, to do your damage, your critical damage, and go from there. Now, one thing I do want to talk about here is how that critical damage works, at least from the way I understand it and the way that I've kind of seen as I've been messing around with it here, is that only the initial attack after the weapon mastery combo does damage. So if you have a dot or something like that, it doesn't actually dot crit for 360%. It only does the very first one. Alright, so just keep that in mind. So obviously for might-based powers, this is going to be really helpful though, because now you're going to be able to use this great combo, and then not only is it powerful on its own, but now if you do something like that, you're going to get a great crit when you do the weapon mastery combo, and that's going to hit for way more damage. So there you can see I'm not a might-based person, so my 834 there wasn't all that impressive, but you get the idea. So the idea there is that you got to learn how to time it and get that circle going, and that lets you know that you've done it. And that's really all there is to it. Now obviously there's a bunch of different combos, like that's my mortar, like this one here. This is a a different jump back kind of attack, and obviously all the powers kind of combo into different ones, and so it's going to be kind of fun to play around and see which ones work best for you. But if you haven't heard of Weapon Mastery, or you haven't seen it, or haven't had a chance to get on the test server, that's what it is. So basically, if you want to use it, and you don't have a lot of skill points, you need to start working on them. And if you do have some skill points, then basically have fun. I think 100 and plus 100 is probably going to be pretty decent. Obviously the more you have, the better off you're going to be. But keep in mind, it's 20 points per weapon just to master it. That doesn't even include the actual mastery itself, the combos themselves, and then of course the innates down at the bottom. So, in theory, you could actually be looking at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Sorry, I had to do the math there. 28 skill points minimum in your weapon mastery for the weapon that you actually do want to master, because that would include the two sets of combos into the other weapons, and then the innates down at the bottom. And it could even be more, because you might want 2 sets of innates down at the bottom, depending on your role. Obviously, in damage, you probably only want the damage ones, but if you're a healer, you might want the resto one, but if you're a tank, you might want Dom, and you may want health, so it could be a little taxing on the tanks there. But anyway, that's it. Just wanted to kind of show it off. If you have any questions about it, you can definitely ask in game. We'll be happy to answer what we know. And if you look at the DCUO forums, they also have some great information there as well. So that's it. So we'll see you all next time. See you in game.